thousands of places on the internet, there's a file with your name on it. Inside, your home address, your cell number, the email you only give to people you trust. It knows your medical conditions, age, how you vote, where you drive, and your kids' names. You didn't write it. You can't read it. But anyone with a credit card can buy it. That file is the product of a multi-billion-dollar industry called data brokers, and none of it was stolen. Your file's collected, packaged, and sold legally. Every scam call, every phishing text that knows too much about you, someone paid for that file. Last year, Americans lost a record $20 billion to fraud. Scammers didn't get lucky. They got prepared. I did something about my file. I use Incogni. Incogni goes broker by broker and forces each one to delete your file. The opt-out forms they bury, Incogni finds them. And when your data tries to creep back, and it always does, Incogni wipes it again. Go to privacykim.com right now for an exclusive 60% off. That's privacykim.com. Professor Hany Farid is probably the best person on the planet for saying, like, this is fake. Recently, you told the New York Times that you feel like you're going blind. Why is that?
By lately, I really mean the last 6 months or so. My visual system, and it is very well trained, is really struggling. And that's because these images and these videos are just getting so good. But here's the other thing that's so difficult. It's not just that we're not seeing flaws in fake content. It's that when we do see remarkable images and remarkable videos, we're immediately suspicious of them. We have seen enterprises hiring North Korean imposters who are then embedded in these companies. So the amount of fraud, because if you think about how much of our, it's not just our personal lives, but our business is happening over Zoom calls and team calls and WebEx calls. It is, we tend to trust what we see, and it's just not really true anymore. And we knew we were going to get here. As soon as we started hearing about deepfakes, we knew we'd get to a point where they were going to become imperceptibly indistinguishable from reality. I just didn't think it would come this fast. I thought we had more time, but here we are.
All right, I have a little bit of an ask here, and so let's talk about it. You know, wherever you get your podcasts, you can get the Kim Komando Show. See, here's what happens. You have all these algorithms that are controlling podcasts. Do you know how many podcasts are out there right now? Like 4 million podcasts. 4 million. It's nutso. So wherever you get your podcasts, the algorithms will kind of determine what podcast to show to other people. Now, the algorithms are based on positive reviews and traffic. So they feel like, oh, if you like this, then somebody else will like this. So that's why you hear me say, please, 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 just wherever you get your podcast, just leave a nice 5-star review, say some good words, because again, that helps trick the algorithms, and then more people will know about the Kim Komando Show podcast, which is exactly what we need. AI is changing the world, and there's no question it's making technology smarter, but it's also making it easier than ever for companies to learn more about you through your online activity. Websites you visit, searches you run, and apps you use can reveal more about you than you realize. That's just one reason I use ExpressVPN. It encrypts my internet connection to help keep my personal information more secure online. Whether I'm checking email or shopping online, I know ExpressVPN is quietly working in the background. I also like how super easy it is to use. Really, one tap on my phone, laptop, desktop, or tablet, and I'm connected. Plus, one subscription now covers up to 14 devices at once. That's enough to protect your entire household. Best of all, it comes with a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. So take your online privacy seriously with ExpressVPN. Right now, get 4 extra months by going to expressvpn.com/Kim. That's expressvpn.com/Kim, expressvpn.com/Kim. All right, think about this. You see a photo, see a video online, and you think, is that real or is that fake?
Sure, you can question everything now.
Isn't that crazy? I do the same thing. I saw a video of 2 paddleboarders in Santa Barbara with this big, like 15-foot shark next to the paddleboard. And I thought, that's got to be fake. Turns out it's true.
How about the Brazilian bungee jumper?
Oh,
I thought 100%. I went, oh, whatever. That's AI. That's not real.
Was just, what a tragedy.
I know, but I'm saying we question everything we see now.
Okay, our next guest is probably the best person on the planet for saying, like, this is fake. Professor Hany Farid. He invented this whole world of digital forensics. He's been on the show before.
Yeah.
He does a fantastic job. The reason why we asked him back, he's a professor at UC Berkeley, chief science officer at Get Real Security, is that recently, Dr. Farid, thank you for being here, is that you told the New York Times that you feel like you're going blind. Why is that?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's good to talk to you again. I don't think it's been that long, and this is an indication of how fast this technology is changing. Look, so my bread and butter is developing mathematical and computational techniques that can analyze images and video and discover patterns that can determine if something is real or not. And so we work with law enforcement and national security and media outlets and organizations to help figure out what's going on in the world. But along the way, we learn a lot about how fake things are made. And so when I would look at something, whether it was an image or a video, usually I had a pretty good indication of whether I thought it was real or not. And that was because I knew what the weaknesses of these techniques were. I knew where they would make mistakes, and I could usually visually latch onto them. And then you bring in the math and the computation to really assure yourself that you've gotten the right thing. But lately, and by lately I really mean the last 6 months or so, my visual system, and it is very well trained, is really struggling. And that's because these images and these videos, and you were saying it at the top of the segment, are just getting so good. But here's the other thing that's so difficult. It's not just that we're not seeing flaws in fake content, is that when we do see remarkable images and remarkable videos, we're immediately suspicious of them.
We are.
And so it just, yeah. And so everything, and we knew we were going to get here. As soon as we started hearing about deepfakes, we knew we'd get to a point where they were going to become imperceptibly indistinguishable from reality. I just didn't think it would come this fast. I thought we had more time, but here we are. And of course, social media is now riddled with this content. And so I think the average person doom scrolling online is really struggling. And it's not just that they can't tell real from fake, is that they're getting scams. And they're being defrauded, and they're being misled and lied to and being pushed into conspiracies that are not true. And it's dangerous for individuals and societies and democracies.
And so when you talk about that, you mean all the Elon Musk investment scams, right, that are out there?
Everything from the Elon Musk investment scams to people getting phone calls who they think are their kids who have been kidnapped, getting photos of their kids being kidnapped. I saw one the other day, somebody, and there's a special place in hell for people who do this, by the way. It was a photo, they had taken a photo of somebody's dog, and AI generated them in a hospital under surgery saying you have to send $2,000 or they're going to euthanize your dog. I mean, the creativity of the scammers is phenomenal because the power of the AI is equally phenomenal. And you're seeing this, by the way, at the corporate level, too. You're seeing enterprises losing tens of millions of dollars because they are getting on calls with who they think is their CEO, and it is not.
Just transferring money.
Yeah. Transferring money. We have seen enterprises hiring North Korean imposters who are then embedded in these companies. So the amount of fraud, because if you think about how much of our, not just our personal lives, but our business is happening over Zoom calls and team calls and WebEx calls, it is we tend to trust what we see, and it's just not really true anymore.
I would imagine that the scammers are just using what's available to everybody, the ChatGPTs and stuff like that. Is there technology that's not available to the general public that goes even beyond what they're using?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the sort of run-of-the-mill scammer is using commercial products. So OpenAI, Gemini, pick your favorite model. But state-sponsored actors, China, Russia, et cetera, they are almost certainly have access to tools that we do not have access to that are even more sophisticated. And so I think it's you see a range of different technologies being deployed. But the fact is that the free stuff is pretty good. And the thing you have to understand about scammers and cyber criminals is they can fail 99% of the time, and they are still wildly successful, multi-billion-dollar a year industry scamming people out of money. And, of course, now what they're doing is they're turning AI agents into the part of the process. So it's not a human on the keyboard having to do the interactions. They're literally AI agents 24/7. They don't sleep. They don't get tired. They don't have a moral conscience. They are scamming people. Yeah.
Let me.
AI's even taking the job of the scammers. Pretty soon we're going to have less scammers.
You were talking about the robots. Even the scammers are going to be out of a job.
All right, stay right where you are. We have more of the show coming right up. If you're looking for a simple tech upgrade you'll use every day, let me tell you about Raycon Everyday Earbuds Classic. I've been using them for years, and they've become a part of my daily routine. They're comfortable enough to wear all day, and they fit perfectly into busy everyday lives. Whether you're outside traveling or just relaxing or listening to music, Raycon's Everyday Earbuds Classic makes life easier, and they're packed with smart upgrades. Active noise cancellation helps block noise distractions. Multi-point connectivity lets you pair 2 devices at once, and the battery life is strong, up to 32 hours. Plus, a quick 10-minute charge gives you 90 minutes of playtime. Oh, and the new colors are really fun. Mint green, my personal favorite. Here's the kicker. Raycon delivers the same premium audio quality as the big brands, but half the cost. It's time to upgrade your everyday routine. Go to buyraycon.com/Kim to get 15% off today. That's buyraycon.com/Kim. You're going to love your new Raycons. Head to buyraycon.com/Kim today.
This message is brought to you by Raycon.
I have this is a serious question. And this is something I've always thought of. And I haven't really vocalized it very much because I didn't want to put it out there. But one of the things that I've always, in the back of my mind, that has always bothered me is that just imagine if this scenario happened, that somebody deep-faked our president. And Trump's in office, so let's say President Trump gets deep-faked. And he talks about, and the deepfake says that there's an incoming missile from China or Russia.
Yeah.
And we need everybody to go home and, make sure you have enough food and water for the next week. And this is a national emergency, and puts that out on social media.
Yeah. Well, first, two things. One is, thank you for that vision.
You know what your nightmare is going to be about tonight.
For God's sakes, if I didn't have enough problems.
Sorry. He's like, next time we call him, he's like, I'm not coming back on that show ever again.
Not that crazy lady.
My booker's going to have a word, but I'm going to have a word with my booker. Two is, first of all, I don't think this is out of the question. We have seen things, I would say, adjacent to that. So we saw an escalation between India and Pakistan around a fake image that did not lead to catastrophic, but was a clear escalation. So that's number one. And we've seen, for example, members of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations getting on phone calls with who they think are the Ukrainians, but they are the Russians. Right. So we've seen things that are adjacent with geopolitical implications. So that's number one. Number two is this is not out of the question. I mean, it's certainly capable. We are capable of generating that type of fake content. And then, of course, social media is the delivery mechanism. So if you are, say, Russia or an adversary and you want to create chaos, say, on the eve of an election, this would be a highly effective way to do that. And it only has to work for a few hours and completely disrupt an election. So I think that is worrisome. And I will tell you, without telling you things that I can't tell you, this is something that worries national security. This is a national security issue because that scenario is not out of the question. And that's a global implication. And by the way, let me make it slightly worse, which is somebody releases a video of the current president saying, I've launched nuclear missiles against Russia, and Russia panics and decides to launch in retaliation. So now imagine it's escalating. It's not just, we're panicked and we're all going to go hoarding food and go home. You can imagine escalations because things at the geopolitical level happen very, very quickly, as we have seen in the past few years.
Yeah, that's horrifying.
Is that illegal in the United States of America?
I'm sure. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm not a legal scholar, so I'm not the right person. But we tread into very unknown territory. We're not prepared for this. The legal system is not prepared for this. We're not ready for this. But certainly, the quintessential yelling fire in a movie theater
that would
covers this, right?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it used to be, and I say used to be, and it's not that long ago. Maybe 3 years ago. That we would see an AI-generated image and be like, and I actually kept mine up on Instagram because I have like 2 noses and 3 ears. And, are there any telltale signs now?
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, I miss those days. My job was so much easier when people had 2 noses and 7 fingers. It was great. I loved it.
One of the best ones was when the founding fathers were all African American.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was classic. That was good. Yeah, I'm glad we can reminisce about these things. Okay, so the answer to your question is 2 parts. The short answer is yes, but I'm not going to tell you what they are, and here's why. Because in 3 months, it won't be true anymore. And then everybody listening now is going to have a false sense of security. And you saw that with the fingers. For a long time, people had 6 fingers. And so the bit was, well, I'll just look at the fingers. But that stopped being true not long after that. Mm-hmm. And so there are still some visual clues in videos. They're very difficult to latch onto. They tend to have a shelf life of 3 to 6 months, and then we have to look for another artifact. And so that's what makes this so difficult for the average consumer. And so your follow-up question is going to be this, if I may. So what do we do, right? Well, there's some simple answers here. First of all, your listeners can't become digital forensics experts, right? This is a really complicated field. We and the people that work with me have been doing this for decades now, and it's hard. We struggle day to day, and this is what we do for a living. But there are things you can do. So first of all, stop getting your news and information from social media. It's lying to you. It's not what it was designed for, and it's not, frankly, very good at it. So if you are spending a lot of time on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and X, and you're using that for entertainment, fine. I think there's better ways to spend your time, but fine. But it is not. It is not a place to get informed about the world. People are lying to you, and I think people should get angry about that. People should be mad if they are.
But they're not.
Deceived.
It's just like not. They just say like, oh well, that's the way it is.
Or they're glad that they're getting fed all this propaganda that justifies what they believe.
I think that's right, and I think that at some point we're going to have to start understanding that we are being lied to and we're being deceived. And my hope is that because I'm a university professor, you see this new generation coming up, and they don't really want anything to do with this. I think they do see it as toxic, and it is toxic. And by the way, it's overwhelming. Science says the more time you spend on social media, the worse it is for your mental health, the worse it is for your physical health. And so so I'm preaching, and I understand that this is hard because the products are by design addictive. I will tell you what I tell my students, which is I know it's hard to delete the accounts. There's this addiction to it and this need for it. So here's a really simple thing you can do today. Delete them from your phone. You can keep the accounts so that when you're at your desk, you can look at them, but just take it off your phone and you will see the amount of time you spend on these apps, which are not good for you, drop precipitously. And so you're not disconnecting entirely, but you're stopping that doom scrolling every spare moment that you have.
And that's a lot of people just can't do it though, right?
I know. But I will tell you, you are now starting to see in Australia and now in other parts of the world, they are banning social media for people, for minors.
I think
and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, I think they just did. I read this morning in Norway. All the kids can't be on social media.
And that's following Australia. Australia took the lead. Norway followed. Other parts of the EU are going to follow. The UK is going to follow. So I think there's a reason why we are doing that, because we now understand 25 years later that there are problems. And it's not just that social media is toxic and it is dangerous for kids, too. There are predators on these platforms, and kids are being harmed both physically and mentally on the platforms, and so are adults.
Now, just one final question. There's the way that you can, like, if you go to OpenAI.com/verify and then Google Gemini, that you can upload a photo and tell you whether or not it was made with that. Are those tools effective?
Yeah, and they're great, but, and this is a big but, so the way these technologies work, OpenAI and Google has one as well, is that when they create a piece of content, so when Google creates a piece of content, they embed a signal, what is called a watermark, into the content that is not visible. It's not that little star that you see in the bottom right-hand corner. And then if you upload that image to the Google Gemini checker or the OpenAI checker, it will say, I made this. But the problem is that it only works for their content. So if it wasn't made by Gemini, if it wasn't made by OpenAI, it will remain silent. So if you see a watermark, you know something. But if you don't see a watermark, you know absolutely nothing, because it may have simply been created by another AI model.
So that doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so we use those over at Get Real. So we have watermark readers for Gemini and OpenAI and all the technologies that sits along all the other tools that we do. And in that regard, it's useful because we know to check all of them. And we also know that if we don't find anything, we should remain silent, right? There's no signal there, yeah.
So I guess the old phrase, trust but verify, doesn't apply.
It does not. And so trusted sources is a good place. Who is saying this? What is their motivation? What do you know about them? Why would you believe a random person on social media saying something? So I do think a lot of this has to go back to trusted sources. Is this somebody that I trust? If a random stranger came up to you and started blabbing something, I don't think the average person would be like, well, I believe that. But somehow when we read it on our computer screen, yeah, exactly. So why is it when it's written on the screen, we're like, oh, that must be true? I mean, we've got to rethink a little bit what we're doing here.
Well, thanks for jumping on and talking about all this. And thanks for making my nightmare a little worse. I didn't quite think of the missiles being...
I just want to say.
True. You did start it.
Yeah, I guess I did. Oh, man. Now I got visions of missiles going across the ocean and back and forth.
Just go on TikTok for a half an hour. I'll take care of that. You'll have much worse things to think about.
That's true. Oh, wow. That was Dr. Hany Farid, friend of the show. I hope you come back. Please say yes.
Fingers crossed.
Hey, if you haven't already, make sure that you head over to getkim.com because that's the place where you can sign up for my free newsletter. It's 5-star rated. You're just going to really dig it. 5 minutes a day to get tech smart. Again, that's at getkim.com. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. We appreciate your support.